Welcome to the Logan Library of Learning. The following presentation will equip you with a better understanding of primary and secondary sanitation options available for swimming pools in the marketplace. While we certainly will be highlighting the fine products from custom molded products, we will do our best to give you the overall features and benefits of the technologies discussed. Please don't hesitate to research these technologies further, as there are a tremendous wealth of excellent resources available. Thank you and enjoy.
The good folks at Del Ozone had been making ozone systems for residential swimming pools for over 40 years when custom molded products purchased them in 2018. Knowing a good thing when they see one, CMP has continued to market the EC Series Ozonator as one of their benchmark products. This has helped CMP and Del to lead the way in providing the most modern methods of water sanitation for the 21st century swimming pool. And the Logan Library of Learning YouTube channel is proud to present this video that explains the basics of ozone in general and of the EC Series ozone unit in particular. So, here we go. Before we talk about what ozone is and what it does, we need to make sure we understand the various elements of water sanitation and how they fit together to create a safe and pleasant swimming environment for bathers. If we were inventing a new water sanitizer, what conditions would it need to be able to satisfy in order for us to definitively consider the water in question to be sanitized and therefore safe for swimming? Well, first it would need to be able to create a residual, some quantitative measurement by which it can be determined through some sort of testing process that the water does indeed meet whatever standard is determined in order to call it safe. Next, our sanitizer would need to qualify as a biocide, something that kills living organisms and pathogens like bacteria, viruses, and algae. And last, but certainly not least, our sanitizer would need to be an oxidizer, something that can transform or destroy organic and inorganic compounds, things that are typically introduced into the water by bathers, like body oil, makeup, perspiration, suntan lotion, and of course, the ever-present urine. It does so by converting them to their base elements, thereby enabling our combined chlorine to once again become free available chlorine. If we can make our sanitizer successfully meet all three of these requirements, then we can actually make the claim that we can use our new product as a water sanitizer. Fortunately for us, we don't have to invent such a product because there currently is, and for many decades there has been, a chemical called chlorine, and it can successfully perform all three of the required elements of a water sanitizer. Most certainly, chlorine leaves a residual, and for residential swimming pools, this standard has long been established as being between 1 and 5 parts per million of free available chlorine as the required measurement of safety. Likewise, chlorine most definitely is certified by the National Sanitation Foundation as meeting its own requirements of NSF ANSI Standard 50 for recreational water facilities as they apply to being both a biocide and an oxidizer. However, as we'll see in just a minute, it doesn't do all of them as well as it would need to in order to be the ideal and single choice for water sanitation. Let's take a look at why that is. If we look at the usage of chlorine in a typical residential swimming pool as it applies to these three elements, the percentage of distribution might look something like the pie chart you see here, with 5% going towards maintaining a residual, for which stabilized chlorine is an excellent choice, 10% being lost to UV degradation from the sun, and 20% going towards the biocidal function of killing most, but not all, microorganisms. But the overwhelming majority, often 65% or more, of chlorine consumption goes toward the oxidation function. The oxidation requirement is by far the greatest drain on chlorine usage and is the primary reason that chlorine consumption increases so dramatically during the summer over the winter. It occurs when people are swimming and in the pool. Unfortunately, however, at normal residual levels, chlorine is not an effective oxidizer. And this is the reason that we must manually shock the pool at regular intervals. bather waste builds up over time and creates chloramines and other combined chlorine compounds that render our chlorine inactive. The water becomes hazy and starts to smell and becomes uncomfortable for swimmers until we can introduce enough new chlorine to create what's called break point. Once the chlorine level reaches break point, these compounds become oxidized and the combined chlorine becomes free chlorine once again. The cycle repeats itself over and over again, hence the need to shock your pool on a regular basis. So, wouldn't it stand to reason, therefore, that if we were able to eliminate this oxidation responsibility from being borne solely by the chlorine, that we would save a corresponding amount of chlorine from being consumed? Well, it certainly would, and it is in this oxidation capacity that ozone really excels. Ozone is the second most powerful oxidizer that can be safely used in a swimming pool. It's a form of oxygen, the third most common element found in the universe. The first two are hydrogen and helium, by the way. The oxygen we breathe in the atmosphere is called diatomic oxygen, or O2, and is two elemental oxygen atoms bonded together. When diatomic oxygen is exposed to either ultraviolet radiation from the sun or electrical energy from a lightning strike, the O2 molecule splits into two separate elemental oxygen atoms, or O1s. These stray O1 atoms form a weak molecular bond with surrounding O2 molecules to create O3, or ozone. This bond is weak because it lacks an electron, so this gives ozone a very strong cationic, or positive, electrical charge. Once the process of atmospheric oxygen being split by either solar or electrical energy occurs, and these single oxygen atoms form a weak molecular bond with the remaining free atmospheric oxygen molecules to create ozone, the weak bond is broken as the stray oxygen atoms take electrons from various contaminants in the water. Afterward, the ozone is reduced back to the diatomic oxygen that we all breathe and is contained here in the Earth's atmosphere. This life-giving oxygen is the only remaining byproduct from the entire process. The fact is, ozone is validated by the National Sanitation Foundation, or NSF, to exceed the NSF Standard 50 requirement for recreational bodies of water to obtain a greater than 99.9% population reduction of all pathogens in a single pass. This includes virulent, dangerous, and chlorine-resistant ones like Cryptosporidium parvum, Giardia, and E. coli. Additionally, ozone oxidizes organic and inorganic waste compounds that are introduced into the pool by bathers or by the environment, and it does so on contact. This includes chloramines, and this is where we see the wonderful benefit of eliminating the need to manually shock the pool under ordinary circumstances. And, due to its powerful positive electrical charge, ozone pulls the microparticles in pool water into ones that are large enough to be filtered out. This greatly enhances the clarity and sparkle of the water. Finally, a very significant and tangible benefit that the customer will realize is a huge reduction in the amount of chlorine consumption, normally somewhere between 50 and 75% in the typical family pool. A great additional benefit that ozone brings is the fact that after it completes its job of oxidizing contaminants in the pool water, it reverts only to life-giving atmospheric oxygen and leaves absolutely no harmful byproducts that might have a negative effect on the environment. Indulge me for just a moment as I show a couple of items that are included with every EC Series ozone unit that contribute to Dell's excellent performance reputation. The first is a Dell exclusive, our patented and state-of-the-art Advanced Plasma Gap, or APG, Corona Discharge Ozone Module. The Corona discharge method of producing ozone uses an electrical arc to simulate a mini lightning strike and produces the highest concentrations of ozone that can be made. Dell's APG modules make more ozone, are more durable, and consume less electricity than old-fashioned UV bulbs or shotgun shell style metal spark cylinders. APG modules are resistant to water intrusion and are very sturdy. Their simple chip design makes for reliable operation up to 15,000 hours. or about 5 years based on an 8-hour-a-day pump cycle. The inlet and outlet ports, as you see here, draw air into and out of the module by use of a genuine Mozzie injector that, installed on the plumbing loop, as we'll see in a moment, creates a vacuum that drives ozone into the water where it's absorbed in a process called mass transfer. Dell uses only genuine Mozzie injectors, as they have been shown to create the highest degree of mass transfer of any injector anywhere in the world. It's this type of dedication to excellence and unwillingness to compromise performance that has made Dell the #1 name in ozone for swimming pools for almost 5 decades. When acting as the supplemental oxidizer for any chlorine-based primary residual sanitizer, Dell's EC Series APG Ozonator lineup is designed to handle the oxidation needs of just about any residential pool that's out there. The Dell Ozone 25 is sized to handle the oxidation requirements of any residential pool up to 25,000 gallons and houses 2 advanced plasma gap corona discharge ozone modules producing 0.25 grams of ozone per hour. The Dell Ozone 50 is sized to handle the oxidation requirements of any residential pool up to 50,000 gallons and houses 4 advanced plasma gap corona discharge ozone modules producing 0.5 grams of ozone per hour. And, you guessed it, the Dell Ozone 100 is sized to handle the oxidation requirements of any residential pool up to 100,000 gallons and houses 6 advanced plasma gap corona discharge ozone modules producing a full gram of ozone per hour. In addition to APG ozone modules, all Dell EC Series ozone generators include 110 to 220 volt auto-sensing voltage capability, a wall-mounted enclosure with a standard pressure side Venturi manifold, or an optional mixing degas vessel installation kit. More on that later. All Dell EC Series ozone units come with a full 1-year warranty, including parts and labor, and are UL and Canadian UL certified. Now let's take a quick look at what's involved in the installation of the EC Series ozonator using the standard pressure side injector manifold. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that a complete EC Series system comes in 2 parts: the ozone unit itself and the installation parts kit. Each item must be ordered separately. To install, first mount the EC Series ozone unit on a wall adjacent to the pool equipment. Using a licensed electrician, wire the unit to a power source on the load side of the pump circuit according to directions in the manual. If you're using a controller, this can be on top of the existing pump relay or on its own dedicated auxiliary relay, as long as it is also receiving power only when the pump is running. Next, plumb the pressure side injector manifold as the last item on the common return after the filter, heater, and chlorinator, as well as any other additional items like a booster pump, in-floor cleaning system, or water feature. When using a variable speed pump, the built-in check valve on the Venturi injector manifold will maintain proper flow levels through the bypass. If the pool equipment is located above the water level of the pool, install a light tension check valve between the pool filter and the pump to prevent backflow that may cause the pump to lose prime. Once the EC Series ozone unit is mounted and wired and the plumbing is completed, thread the tube adapter onto the injector as indicated. Then, connect the flow meter assembly to the tube adapter and hold it with the flow meter itself in an upright vertical position. Start the pool pump to create flow through the system. The silver ball inside the flow meter should be located between the 2 scored lines on the clear plastic body of the flow meter itself. If necessary, refer to the manual for instructions on how to adjust for proper flow rates. Once completed, take the flow meter rig off the hose barb on the tube adapter. Be careful not to break the hose barb while removing. Next, connect the ozone tube to the hose barb on the tube adapter. Be sure that the flow arrow on the blue and black air check valve is pointing toward the injector. If the pool equipment is above the water level of the pool, Cut off any excess tubing and connect the free end to the ozone outlet hose barb on the bottom of the enclosure. If the equipment is below the water level, leave the extra tubing as is and loop it above the water level if possible to create an airlock. Secure the tubing to the connection points using the plastic clamps included in the installation kit. A popular optional method of installation for the EC Series ozone unit is with the mixing degas vessel, part number MDV-10-04. The MDV eliminates bubbles from the water that may cause performance issues with tablet feeders, booster pumps, in-floor cleaning systems, and water features. The clear vessel hangs on the wall next to the ozone unit and is plumbed on a side stream loop with the inlet tee to the injector plumbed immediately after the filter and just before the variable speed check valve. The return tee is placed as far downstream as possible on the common return after all the other pool equipment, right before the plumbing goes into the ground. The idea to keep in mind is to create as much of a pressure differential between the inlet and outlet tees as possible in order to maintain proper vacuum draw at the injector. On a pool spa combination with a spa overflow, place the return tee on the common or dedicated line that feeds the spa overflow to prevent the spa from draining when in spa mode. You can learn more about the EC Series ozone unit as well as all the great products proudly represented by Logan & Associates online at our website and right here on the Logan Library of Learning YouTube channel. Please subscribe to stay up to date for upcoming videos and be sure to hit the like button on your way out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time right here at the Logan Library of Learning.